Hello, broadcasters. Welcome to episode 124 of the StreamYard Live Town Hall. My name's Geige, and I'm here with Dan, of course. Dan, how are you doing?
Doing great. I've freshened up my background a little bit for everyone.
Yeah, a brand new plant. Very exciting for anyone new here. Dan and I are the founders of StreamYard. We do these town halls every single week, Sundays at 6 p.m. Pacific, and we do them for a few reasons. One is to stay in tune with you guys, go through the same flow you guys do for your own shows. Two is to answer any of your questions. So if there's any topics or questions you'd like us to answer tonight, feel free to leave them in the chat, and we'll do our best to get to them. And then three, I always make sure I mention our three pillars, which are ease of use, stability, and professional streams. So if you're about those three things, StreamYard is the tool for you. See lots of people in the chat tonight from all over the world. Nice to see you here, Barb. Sounds like Crochet Queen says, why isn't StreamYard connecting to FB? So it should be connecting to FB. The best suggestion I have, Crochet Queen, is to, if you go to StreamYard.com/contact, they can walk through it with you step by step to see what might be going wrong there.
Yeah, we have 24/7 live support there, and they're very good at debugging any kind of issue just because they've kind of seen everything by now.
3D printing, tuning in from Vegas as usual. Nice to have you here. Cool. Letitia's tuning in from New York City. Dana Bentz from our team is there as well. Letitia, that's pretty cool.
Visiting Kelsey.
Yeah, visiting Kelsey. Let's see who else we have in tonight. Thanks for sharing that link, Tristan. Yeah, just streamer.com/contact. Matt says, feature request, would love the ability to check what my mic sounds like before broadcasting. I know there are level indicators in the audio setting, but something that you play back a sample of audio would be nice. 100% agree, Matt. And in addition to that, I know many people want to see it for just more flexibility and features there in general for understanding like what the overall output is going to sound like, whether it's their guest or themselves. So definitely thinking through how to improve that. Juma says, hey everyone, logging in from Trinidad and Tobago. That's a new one, very cool. Paul says, Dan, all of your background is over your right shoulder. Shouldn't you balance it as well as the three pillars?
That's awesome.
We'll work on it for next time.
Maybe next time. Mix it up a bit. It's not quite as exciting as the fake palm tree I had in the background before. Maybe that one will make a reappearance one of these days.
Carolina Claus says hello from the North Pole. I'd be impressed if you're actually watching from up there. That'd be pretty cool. Before I forget, we have lots of shows. So just to let you guys know the times of those, we've got StreamYard Spotlight, 8 p.m. Eastern, which is a show featuring you guys. It's about how you guys are having success with live streaming and StreamYard. So be sure to check that out. And if you want to be featured, reach out to Dana. It looks like she's in the chat. Her and Kelsey would love to have you on. We've got live stream reviews Saturdays at noon Eastern. Every other week, I believe, other than the first. I think every week other than the first week of the month, which is with Daniel and Dee. So be sure to check that out if you'd like to have a review of your channel or your live stream. We got Coffee with the Ducks Fridays at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, which is if you want to get to know more people behind the scenes of StreamYard. Dana and Jorge interview employees, so check that out. And then recently we got Live Stream Impact with Julie's on Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern. I think they recently had a good show with Jeff on Pinterest, so we should check that out. And then recently they're doing weekly office hours too. So if you just have random questions and want to know beyond the town hall where there's maybe a bit more time to get questions answered, that's happening in the Facebook group. So if you're not a member of the Facebook group, be sure to just type in StreamYard Community on Facebook, and you can tune into that each week.
Sweet. And is Coffee with the Ducks every week or every other week?
I think it's every other week. I misspoke. We need to. I've been saying it for a while. We need to get a landing page so people can check in on all the times. Alan says hello. Mega love shout out. I'm watching from the Philippines. Very cool. Thank you, Alan. Let's see what else we have here. Hey Kelsey, hope you're having a good time with Dana in New York. One thing that might be exciting for you guys that we wanted to run by you was, I know hotkeys is a very popular feature request, and we actually had some early drawings of it that we were working through. Curious to show it to you guys and maybe get some thoughts and some insight into what else you might want from it. Pretty basic drawings, but I figured it'd be fun to show. Basically, you'd find it in the sorry, I didn't size this properly, but you'd find it in the settings window, and then there'd be a new hotkey section. You can see here, these are just some examples of some of the things we'd assume you'd want to bind, like starting the broadcast, ending the broadcast. You can see this isn't done yet because there's start broadcast a bunch of times. We'd obviously have different ones there. And then you would basically just type in the key that you'd want to use to bind to that particular action. And then the other thing, this probably wouldn't come in the first iteration of hotkeys, but that we'd likely add in the future is this concept of combinations. So say you want to do something like, oh, I want to, every time I start my broadcast, I want to also, mute my mic or probably unmute the microphone, but things like that, things you want to happen at the same time. So curious if that would be feature rich enough to meet all of your needs, or if other things would be necessary, like timing things and scripting things and that type of stuff. Do let us know. Curious to get your thoughts. And again, this is just early drawings. Don't have an actual date for you guys, but that would be fun to get your thoughts on the initial concept of it.
Cool. And some of the things we should mention in terms of why the combinations might be useful is, say, for example, like maybe you don't want to do anything at the same time you start the broadcast, but you might want to change a layout and something else at the same time. That's where it starts to make more sense, maybe an overlay and a layout at the same time. So yeah, curious if you need some kind of combinations. Do you need a bunch of things at the same time? Like Geige said, would some kind of timing thing be useful where you hit a hotkey and it does this, and then a second later it does this? Or do you just want a second hotkey for the second thing? And of course, any very unique events that you feel like you need a hotkey for, that'd be useful to know as well.
Hey, Patrick, nice to see you here. What else do we have? 3D Printing says, tried the giveaway feature the other day. It worked great. Awesome to hear. Thanks for sharing that. In case you guys are curious what that is, if you go to StreamYard.com/giveaway, you can access that fun tool. We haven't formally announced it yet, so you'll be one of the early users of it. Brian says, just got power back on, and this is the first notification that popped up live for Dallas, Texas. Well, I'm glad that you have power back. Thanks for tuning in, Brian. Let's see if we have any questions about hotkeys. Stefan says, any word yet on being able to move assets around without having to reload them, please? I can tell you that it's almost there. It's coming soon, Stefan. I know we've said that a couple of times, but it is indeed coming very, very soon. And you'll be able to move, video clips, overlays, everything around, because we know that having to delete them and re-upload them is certainly a pain for doing something as basic as just changing the order. What else do we have here? Kingdom says, hello, why do I get a Wi-Fi alert saying I have 2 bars when I am hardwired? That's a good question. So for anyone who's never seen this, if you have packet loss or basically bad internet connection, we will alert you with bars. So it's a good question, Kingdom. So generally when you're hardwired, you wouldn't run into that, but it is technically still possible. So what that actually indicates is that just not all the data is actually getting there. And if you're hardwired, pretty unlikely for that to happen, but it is still actually possible if you have older router or your computer has a bunch of stuff running on it and it's really getting bogged down. It is actually still possible even when you're hardwired to lose some of that data. So I'd maybe try closing out of programs, rebooting your router, and see if that has any impact. That being said, it is just an indicator though. So if you don't notice anything as far as the output is concerned, not really anything to worry about, but that would be surprising. I think maybe you can speak more to that, Dan, but if you do see the bars, it generally does mean you are experiencing some kind of packet loss.
Yeah, so we basically show that what Geige said, like if we're trying to send a certain amount of data to StreamYard servers and it's just not being, like it can't be sent for some reason, that's when we show the indicator. So the most common case, if you are plugged in, is by far CPU on your device or some sort of load on your device, because ultimately you need compute power to actually send those packets over the network. So even if the network itself is good, if your CPU is getting hit really hard, even if it's just a couple seconds, that will show up after a few seconds. If it's usually going away right away, it's probably not a huge issue. It might just be little spikes in usage. Like for example, on a Mac, there's often this thing that runs in the background once in a while that just cleans stuff up, and that can hit it pretty hard. That happens to me once in a while. So that's the most common case. If you're not noticing it in the output though, I wouldn't worry about it too much. But yeah, it does mean that some packets are not getting to where they need to be. Hopefully it doesn't last for very long.
For anyone who has no idea what packet means, it's just like data, just information.
How information is sent on the internet, basically, like the chunks of data.
Yeah. Adam's Exploit says, Geige and Dan, just want to thank you for Christian and Letitia's Saturday live stream show. They do a great job. Thanks so much for saying that, Adam. And of course, an even bigger thank you to Christian and Letitia for doing a good job, or great job. Luke says hotkeys for every guest holding spot and video share would be awesome. So I'm guessing, Luke, what you mean is just being able to switch the order of guests in the screen share. That's good to know.
Cool.
TPE Network says this is exactly what I was going to suggest. Combination hashtag hotkeys. Very cool. Brian says, I figured out how to use Stream Deck to control StreamYard without hotkeys. And as an example, one Stream Deck key results in 8 action/mouse clicks in StreamYard. That's awesome, Brian. I think I actually remember you sharing that in the Facebook group. I might be misremembering, but I think you made like a custom, like GitHub script for the Stream Deck, which is awesome. Definitely want to make something where, for maybe people that are like less tech savvy, something easy to use. But yeah, hats off to you. That's awesome. Hopefully, trying to think if this would actually improve the functionality for you, but it would at least maybe make it easier. And as we add more stuff to it, maybe even better.
Should be. Yeah, and I'm also curious what those 8 things were.
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Yeah,
is it adding 8 people at once, or is like 8 of the same thing, or 8 completely different things? And maybe you had that in the group or wherever else you posted it. But yeah, super curious to know.
Bonnie says intro video plus countdown would be a good hotkey. Absolutely. One question I just want to quickly ask while I continue going through the hotkey feedback. Just so you guys have some time to think about it. We've asked this in the past, but it was more directly related to live streaming. But I'm curious in general, whether it was live streaming or if it was just uploading videos or maybe writing a blog, when and why did you start creating content in general? Curious to learn like what happened. Did you see, were you inspired by a friend who was doing it and you wanted to try it yourself? Did you, see a commercial? I was just curious how you first took that initial step in becoming a creator, not necessarily a live streamer. If it is a live streamer, great. But what was the first thing that led you to that? Do let us know.
Yeah, and what was the type of content as well? Like, was it blogging? Was it podcasting? Was it live streaming? Was it YouTube videos? Something else totally unique?
Absolutely. For Dan and I, believe it or not, I think the first content we ever made was technically the town hall. And the reason why we did it, the reason we got into it was to engage with the community behind StreamYard. We'd actually never really created much content before. So at least for me, I don't think you never really made anything, right, Dan?
No.
Yeah. Maybe the occasional, like, everyone probably has like some random YouTube video they've uploaded at some point. But
probably, yeah.
That would actually be considered content creation.
No.
Luke says, if people use a Stream Deck, then they could use that as a delay. That's cool. I didn't actually know that. I haven't looked too deeply at the Stream Deck. If you can add timing in it, that's very cool. And it's a good point, actually. If most tools support that, maybe it doesn't make sense for us to add it. So thanks for that. NLTMW says, hotkeys, assigning a hotkey to each layout would be great. And yes, select the background and overlay would be ideal, but that is asking a lot. Regardless, it's super useful feedback, NLTMW. So yeah, we'd like to make it as flexible as possible. Brian says hotkeys plus macros would be excellent. Very cool. Kirk says, wow, hotkeys is clutch. That's all we would need to integrate Stream Deck. So this is a concept or something that is already rolling out. So it is not rolling out right now. It's just wanted to share the initial sort of drawings and whatnot. It's a bit more than just drawings. Like we are actively exploring it and working out the details. It's not like all we did was just draw it up, but not rolling out. So don't have a fixed date or anything, but it's something we're exploring and just thought it'd be fun to get some initial feedback from you guys on the concept of how it would work. Steven says, is it possible to partner an overlay with a number of cameras? Not right now, but that's a cool suggestion that could potentially be related to something like hotkeys. I guess the idea is you have one layout when it's just you and your co-host, maybe bring another guest. You want to seamlessly transition to that, so useful feedback.
Cool, yeah.
Letitia says, question, if we use hotkeys, we don't need any hardware anymore? It depends. I know a lot of people like the Stream Deck for the additional functionality it gives. Like, it sounds like someone said it does timings. It also is maybe nice that in case you use your Stream Deck for, I know a lot of people, it's kind of cool they have it hooked up to like their lights and other things that they use to start the stream that aren't necessarily tied to StreamYard itself. If you just need hotkeys for StreamYard, it would be feature rich enough that you would be able to just do it on the keyboard if you wanted to. But if you do have a Stream Deck, probably still useful to use in combination with it.
Yep.
For sure. Colin says, or Coylin, I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong. Coylin, brilliant start point with hotkeys. Love the combo idea. Very cool. Thank you. See if we have any feedback on how people first got into live or to content creation in general. I'd be very curious.
And for the hotkeys, for anyone that's talking about the combo idea, I'm definitely curious what types of things you'd like to do for combos.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can guess on quite a few of the probably individual ones, but the combos are harder for us to guess. Both are useful though. Wes says, I started creating videos because of my friend, but since September 2020, I've done it seriously, doing football, soccer videos / live streams, and I've gained over 1K subs. StreamYard makes my life easy. Very cool. It's cool that you got your friend got you into it. That's super useful to know, West. And congrats on the success. That's awesome.
I was going to ask what team he was interested in, then I saw his name. Got it.
Okay. Oh yeah, sorry, because his name's not West Ham. That's the cool. Tesfa says, "Good morning. Good morning to you. It's evening for us, but I know many people watching. It's probably morning." Adam says, "Thank you guys for these. It's super cool to see these. I got started making content through a blog that led into a podcast and now a live stream. I'm in real estate, so it became very obvious that I needed to be a source for good information to be relevant." Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Adam. That's definitely a common one. Becoming an authority in the space and a thought leader definitely makes sense. Your podcasting comment also leads me to another thing I wanted to ask you guys about tonight or this morning, depending on where you are, which is, where do I have it here? Oh yeah, if you're a podcaster, where do you host your podcast? Do you use like Libsyn or Podbean, or I know there's lots of them, Transistor, there's a ton of different ones. Curious where you're hosting it and why you ended up using that one, or maybe Anchor. Curious, yeah, where and why. Do let us know.
Yeah, and have you tried multiple? Did you stick with the one you started with? What do you like about the one that you're using? What do you not like about it?
Conwell says, was thinking of doing live cultural programs supporting local singers, then saw a friend doing live band and singing show on FB, impressed with the quality, hooked to StreamYard since May 2020. Very cool. Yeah, sounds like lots of people seeing it from their friends. Thanks for sharing that, Conwell.
Cool.
Oh, all right, just showed that one. Thanks, Adam. Larry says, I started blogging, which led to photography and Photoshop. That led to live streaming. I'd be curious, Larry, what actually led to, like, why did you start blogging in the first place? What actually inspired you to? Because a big step, like lots of people they think they want to do something, but the percentage that actually go on to do it is generally pretty low. So curious what the actual impetus was for you.
Isn't like 50% of high schoolers want to be YouTubers now?
Yeah, being a YouTube creator has definitely gone up significantly. It's something pretty, I don't remember the exact stat, but it's something like that.
Yeah, but definitely a big step to actually try it and do it.
Yeah, the percentage that actually go on to do it, is clearly not 50%. I'd be curious how many actually attempt it. Carlos says, started a live show right after the lockdown so we could keep in contact with friends and find old friends through Facebook.
Cool.
That makes sense. Jill Joy Landberg says, in 2014, people in my country didn't really buy my magazine, so to get more people to read what I've got to say, I started my blog. And now, after so many years, I've started my YouTube channel. That's super cool. Jill, has it been, curious, was it worth the investment? Has it worked out well for you moving sort of into the digital space to improve magazine sales? Or maybe you ended up making more or doing better with your online presence? I'm curious to learn more. Flash. Yeah, there's so many of these. I can't wait I'll have to go through some of them after because there's so many of it. But yeah, thank you guys for sharing. It's super cool for me to hear these. Flash in Your Pants says, started live streaming to show the world gold prospecting and treasure hunting with guests weekly, from TV celebs to inventors. Sounds like a super fun show. Gold prospecting. I've definitely not thought about that for a long time, other than in history class, hearing about people doing it. But that's super cool. Actually, I think I have seen some channels about that where it's actually cool content where they'll try to find items and then decide whether or not, because sometimes you can turn a profit if you can take an item and basically smelt it down to its raw components, and they'll do content on like which ones you can actually turn a profit on.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't know if that's what. That's. Hopefully, I described that correctly. I only saw like a couple of them. Colin says, any update on streaming to Twitter with Periscope going? So you can still. If you connect Periscope, which you can still do, it will automatically post to Twitter. And I know Twitter's in the process of making a more formal API to go directly to Twitter. So as soon as that's available, will make the full switch, but you can go live to Twitter now, even if you've never gone in the past. I know some people worry about that, like with Periscope gone, like could you start fresh? But you can still start fresh, even if you've never gone live to Twitter before.
Yep.
Julie says, blogging to start, then pre-recorded YouTube videos, then live streaming. Very, very cool.
Sweet. And I'm curious how you find, do you still do the blogging and the pre-recorded videos? Or have you kind of like gone from one to the other? And also just how do you find the difference, especially between pre-recorded and live? Like which one do you like more? Which one do you find is better? Or do they just complement each other really well?
Cool. All right, I'll have to go through a lot of these afterwards. Thank you guys for sharing so many of them. Let's see if I can find any feedback on the podcast hosting. Meeg says, hey, Dan and Geige, would be nice to have a background music option for non-professional streams with free preset free copyright songs, so you can share screen while music is on. Thanks for the suggestion, Meeg. Definitely something that comes up quite a bit. It is it's more difficult than you might think, for mostly because of the copyright question. Like even sometimes things that are advertised as copyright free actually aren't. So definitely some thoughts to put in there, but something we'd like to, if possible, address.
Yep.
Bonnie says, I researched 8 different podcasting host companies and chose Libsyn. Wow, that's thorough. Customer service is great, and more podcasting Hall of, assume that's Famers use it. Hall of Farmers would be cool.
You never know. Cool. Yeah,
8 different ones.
Definitely been around for a while. I didn't even know there was 8, but I guess there is. Competitive space.
You should do a blog post or a live stream on it, Bonnie, about your selection process. That'd
probably be useful. Yeah, if you haven't already.
Adam says, my podcast is currently on Podbean. I like the platform the most, along with how the pricing is structured. Fair enough. Cool. Should probably do our giveaway in a second here. We're getting close to time, but let me see if I can find a couple more. Randall says, Amazon Live is working great. That's awesome, Randall. Thanks for sharing that. I'm curious if you're, what kind of stuff are you doing on Amazon Live? Randall, is it the same as, are you multi-streaming? Are you going to LinkedIn and Amazon at the same time? Are you doing like specific Amazon Live content? I'd be curious to know. Is it on the food industry? I know your stuff on LinkedIn is generally the food industry. All right, so for anyone who hasn't seen one of these streams before, we always do a giveaway towards the end of the stream. So if you type in #theyard, you'll be eligible to win. And tonight we'll give away a pillow, so the same one Dan has in the background there, and also the StreamYard puddles. Oh yeah, they're both back there. Cool.
It's really tough to see the little duck, but
I'll share the picture so people get a closer look. So that pillow, and then the StreamYard plush duck. So we'll give you some time to get those in. It's just hashtag. Oh yeah, because I forgot we added that on the giveaway tool. I don't even need to post it anymore.
You bet. Plus, when everyone's firing it off in the comments, you can just kind of look at what everyone else is doing.
Chris says, I started podcasting to share news about my tennis organization, and then the show really gained momentum. That's super cool. I'd be curious when you went from podcasting also to live streaming, Chris, or maybe it happened at the same time. All right, maybe. Oh, it's still going on. Maybe give it like 10 more seconds.
Yep.
TPE says, we host with Libsyn and Fireside. Cool. See a couple people mentioning Spreaker. Steven says, offers the ability to post several podcast shows under one account. That's cool.
Sweet.
I haven't seen Anchor. Oh, I see Anchor a couple times now. I thought I'd see it more, but now I see a few of them. All right, should we go ahead and do the drawdown?
Cool. Let's do it. Good luck, everyone.
Oh, the 100th came in right the last second again.
Yeah, I saw that.
Julie, thanks for tuning in tonight. Congrats. You just won the StreamYard pillow and the plush duck. Dana will reach out to you to get your information and send that stuff your way. But yeah, congrats. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight.
Awesome. Congrats, Julie.
Sounds like Chris is using Blueberry. Awesome. All right. Let's see. I think I had another question for tonight. I had a couple, actually. We're not going to get to all of them. But one of them, this came up in the group this week, so I was curious to get people's thoughts, was basically someone was asking for feedback on tools that people were using as far as like scheduling guests and keeping them accountable, as far as like reminders, maybe having some like questions beforehand before they book the actual show. And the most common one, which I think a lot of people use here, was Calendly, which I do think works well from what I hear. But curious if there's anything else that people are using, maybe that are even more focused on this type of stuff than Calendly. Just curious to know what else people are using for scheduling. And then also on top of that, favorite tools in general. So I think we've asked this in the past, mostly regarding integration. So usually it's stuff that's like pretty directly related to live streaming, but just curious in general, like what kind of tools you guys are using. It doesn't have to be something perfectly related like Canva or what are the ones that also always come up? Canva or Camtasia or an edit. If it is, that's great, but just curious like what your favorite tools are. It could be, maybe it's Gmail, or maybe it's Google Drive, or maybe it's Calendly. Just curious to know in general what your favorite tools are.
Sweet.
Pete says scheduling, love Calendly coupled with a shared Google Doc. It's a good suggestion. I've actually also started using Google Docs way more for meetings, like having notes for like running notes for meetings. But that's a good suggestion.
I actually use Notion for that.
Notion's a good one too. I'm curious how many people here use Notion. It definitely seems popular among sort of the startup community, but curious if it's also big with creators and broadcasters. Adam says, our company podcast is on Anchor. It's a great platform for someone that is just starting out. Yeah, absolutely. Anchor is very cool. Now part of Spotify. Lots of congrats in the chat for Julie. Absolutely. Congrats to Julie. There you go. Yeah, wahoo. Happy you won, Julie. Let's see what other tools are out there. Christian says, try Lately for repurposing live streams. Cool. Oh yeah, Google Forms. Google Forms is a good one. I'm a huge fan of Google Forms. We've definitely used that a ton from the very beginning. Very cool for just getting feedback in general. Aphrodite says she uses it with signing up beta readers for novels. Awesome use case.
Cool.
Stephanie says, which tool is the most user-friendly for blind users? That is a good question, and I honestly have no idea. I assume you mean for scheduling tools. But yeah, if anyone else in the chat, I think we do have some blind folks that attend these. Maybe one of them has an idea. I'd assume Calendly is pretty good. Like they're pretty widely adopted tool. You never know though. I've been surprised sometimes by tools.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah,
some products you'd expect to be very good with accessibility are not. Google's obviously very good, so Gmail scheduling I'm assuming is great, but obviously very limited as to what you can actually do.
You got some cool scheduling suggestions. So Trello, yeah, Trello is a good one. I guess you just have like shared people on a Trello board essentially. Airtable, I've never checked out, but that's a cool suggestion. Maybe that's the general one. I guess you could use it in a similar way to Trello, maybe. Also Canva and Zapier. Zapier is definitely one I hear all the time. People are like in love with Zapier for hooking up all kinds of stuff. All right, I'll definitely have to run through these. Thank you guys for all the feedback here. I'm looking forward to looking at it in more detail, the tools and how you guys got into to streaming. This was episode 124 of the StreamYard Live Town Hall. We'll see you guys next week at the same time. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's a real pleasure hanging out with you guys every week. So see ya.
See you next week, everyone.